So still on the Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown once again. I hope you had a good Christmas and having a good holiday right now. So today we have two Boxing Day Test matches. By the way, today's the 26th of December, so it's the Boxing Day, and already the Ashes have started the third Test at the MCG. England all out for 185. Plus, we'll be doing the India versus South Africa first Test preview. We brought alongside the Bhaskar sir, who's Indian fan and is anticipating to see whether Virat Kohli can lead this side to their first ever Test series victory in South Africa. And I hope it happens, but it's not going to be easy for them because the first Test starts at the Centurion, where it's a complete dominant. South Africa have dominated at that venue a lot compared to. It's the second, I think, after Pakistan dominating. I think the South Africa have dominated such at a ground. So yes, so let's go through the preview of South Africa versus India. And first of all, we'll talk about how impactful will this be. With Rohit Sharma being ruled out of this Test series, and I think Priyam Pankal is the replacement for Rohit Sharma. So Bhaskar sir, what are your thoughts on Rohit Sharma going to miss this Test series, and how impactful will that be? And how now Mayank? I think the most probable openers will be Mayank and KL Rahul. So how impactful will this be of Rohit Sharma not going to South Africa for this Test series? First of all,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think not only Rohit Sharma, like India is missing two key players, which is Jadeja as well as Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma obviously made a big impact, and if you look at it, he has ever since he has become an opener, he has not had any bad series, even overseas. And the
Yeah.
only series India has lost in the time being, beside the World Championship final, was the New Zealand series, which again he got injured and he was not playing. So that is a bad sign for India in that. But now with Mayank Agarwal and Raquel Rahul, both are pretty
Yeah.
experienced, like nearly nearing the 30s. Mayank had a very good series against New Zealand, 150 odd, but we know India stats are always very good. So I would think, given what Rahul and Rohit did during England series, and in a match where we had a 100 run deficit, also we came back with a very good partnership, and we were scoring like 200 runs, 150 runs opening partnership. It is going to be a tough loss, but I think this is the depth of Indian cricket, right? Because in a way,
Mm.
there are less selection headaches. In fact, because before Rohit injury came out, a lot of people were speculating that Mayank Agarwal should bat at number three and Pujara should be dropped. So it kind of eases the selection concerns. So I think now, if you look at it, like as we saw in England, made four changes today. Changes and injuries and COVID, it's always going to be there. So you have to kind of live with what's going on. And I think in those, these are the best two replacements which we have right now. I would have imagined. I was surprised that Priyank Panchal got the nod ahead of Prithvi Shaw, because
Mm.
Prithvi Shaw, after being dropped from the Adelaide Test, he went and scored very heavily in Vijay Hazare, and like he was scoring
Yeah.
a century in every match, and he had a great IPL, and he had a decent form in the South Africa series, India series also. But I think the reason why Panchal came in, because Panchal was there. I think he had a decent domestic record, and Vihari also can be an opener in that way. So
Mm.
it's not that such a big a deal. I think it all depends on how they perform, in South Africa. Because Rohit Sharma, last time they dropped Rahane and placed Rohit Sharma in the series, and we did not win that. So yeah, given the form, I think he's a number five or number six batter. He's the highest ranked Indian batter in the ICC Test rankings, obviously, and
Yeah.
he's very good at playing the bounce.
Runs scorer also, I think, this year. Second
Yeah,
highest run scorer after Joe Root in Test cricket. Yeah, he's had a fabulous
yeah,
Test year this time, Rohit Sharma. So yeah, could be a big loss, but yeah, they have a lot of replacements obviously to replace Rohit, and this is good for Mayank also to prove himself in overseas, because we haven't seen much of Mayank performing well in overseas for some time. So in South Africa, it will be a good challenge, especially if Mayank performs well. He could There could be some challenges. Obviously, KL Rahul might obviously open for Test cricket, but the place for Rohit, Mayank can actually prove himself wrong in this Test series. So yeah, good challenges. Obviously, there's so much options in the opening slot, and let's say selection headache obviously because Rohit is out. But that doesn't mean that I mean, obviously Rohit is a impactful player, and we can't lie about that. But yeah, yes, what's to be done though. I mean, I hope Rohit recovers and he's had a fabulous year, and hopefully he can come back for the next Test series. Yeah. But South Africa, I think Noike being out of the Test series could be a big blow for me. I think I know they have Rabada and I think Mulder is there, and then Oliver is coming back. I think after that Kolpak deal, I think he's coming
Yeah.
back to the South African Test series for the first time, Test squad. So your thoughts on Noike? Because I think Noike will be a bigger impact for South Africa more than Rohit Sharma being out. So your thoughts on Noike also being ruled out from a hip injury after the 2020 World Cup? He hasn't played any test matches. I mean, any matches. Yeah. Thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Notke, his performance in Test has been very good. He is like averaging 18 this year, very very good stats, and I think he was leading the pack. But what Notke gave was he gave them express pace, and we have seen, like in series like the England series also, Mark Wood is the only bowler who's really making an impact. Stark can make. So I think now with Rabada, Oliver is again a decent pace bowler, but he's not like that express pace. They will be lacking that variety in their attack. But I think still South African bowling attack. I think the top three bowlers, if the Nigidi, Rabada, and Oliver are playing, they're pretty much on the home deck. They will be there. I think this is going to be a very low uh, scoring series. Maybe
Mm.
250 is first inning scores is going to be how it's going to be. I think because South Africa also, like we saw last time also, right? Given that they know the batting is not that good and bowling is their strength, they will always spice up the pitches, and they always spice the pitches against India traditionally in that way. So I would
Yeah.
think that not being there, I think their bowling backup is quite good, and eventually they would have rotated the bowlers also. So I imagine I am not too concerned about the top three bowlers. It's more
Yeah.
about the fourth bowler and how the spinner goes, and that those are
Mm.
the and which will be going against directly against the Indian middle order, which is also very questionable right now. Kohli, Rahane, Pujara, Iyer, or Vihari, whoever plays. So those are the guys. That is where I think the game will be there, because as we are seeing in this test matches recently, top order, all the top orders are struggling right now, and most of the matches are being decided by how your middle order or lower order performs. And when your middle order, lower order can take the score, tire out the bowlers, and that's when the match turns into victory. So to me, this series is actually, I would say, will be very much dependent on your lower order. So number six, number seven, how so Rishabh Pant becomes very important. Lack
Mm.
of Jadeja becomes very important, and obviously South Africa have Mulder at number seven. In that way going on, so those are the factors which I think will become very important.
Cricket Fantasy says is Shubman Gill in the squad. I don't think so. I mean, the 24 member, I think I did an analysis on both the squads when Rohit Sharma was appointed captain. I think I did a video on that. So I don't think he's in the squad.
No,
Instead, I think they have in the
Panchal, yeah.
as
So
openers. Yeah, yeah, continue, Mr.
so
Bhaskar. So, yeah,
So basically, Shubman Gill, Ravi Jadeja, and Akshar Patel all got injured in that series, India versus South Africa, and therefore, India versus New Zealand, and then therefore he's not there. So right now, Priyank Panchal is the only spare opener. Besides, obviously, Saha and Vihari can open if required.
yeah,
Yeah,
Saha and Vihari can open as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Also, we have to talk about the challenges that India will face because this is, I mean, I think after 2017, 18, I think they are coming back to South Africa. So, what do you expect this time from, as an Indian fan, Bhaskar sir, what do you expect this time? Do you think that they can somehow challenge this South Africa side? Because, I mean, their overseas, I mean, in South Africa, their performance haven't been that great, I think, since
yeah,
2010 11. But yeah, your
yeah.
thoughts whether they can finally win a test series in South Africa this time around?
I would think like India has a very good chance of winning the season. And that's because if you look at, let's say, Virat Kohli's captaincy career, right? So,
Yeah.
so his first two series overseas were, or like in the senior countries, were against England and against South Africa. And both the series we lost 4-1 to England and 2-1 to South Africa. And both those series, if you look at it, there were two key factors. The number one key factor was that India lost a toss in all the matches, right? Uh, uh,
Mm.
in the England also they lost all the matches and toss and this, and the team batting first had a huge advantage in that way. So, and the second big factor which happened was that India used to crack the middle order or top order first, but they were not able to sustain. So there were a lot of theories about it that they were losing patience, they were bowling short balls, their fitness was not there in that way. And what they did going forward is that when they went to Australia for the first time in 2018-19, yeah, that is when they fixed it, where the bowlers were much fitter and they started playing Jadeja in the team which is there. And therefore, if you look at the last three series which they have kind of won, the two Australian series, the England series, this is where the Indian team does not panic. Those are the times where actually the South Africa series and England series which we lost,
Mm.
we India was not out of the game. India were actually very much in the game. In fact, in the first Test match, we were like we had New Zealand, sorry, South Africa for like 20 for 3, and then De Villiers came and played a very good knock, and then we were chasing 140, and then we collapsed, right? So
Yeah.
I think the two factors. I think the toss India had already shown in Australia. We lost a toss in Brisbane. England, we lost a tosses. That we can still come back, because day two, day three becomes very important in batting conditions. And but the only factor is that Rohit Sharma is not there right now, and
Mm.
somebody to play a long inning. But I would think that I expect Pujara to do well in the series, because
Yeah.
Pujara is like, there's like one stat that India has had 8 century partnerships, and Pujara was part of 4 of them. So
Yes.
he becomes a very critical factor in just extending the tail and the matches going there. I don't expect any of these matches to go 5 days. 4 days, maybe slightly early, for maybe early fifth day will go up. Very heavy bowling conditions, and
Yeah.
therefore lower order runs, as well as and how the tail performs of both the teams becomes very important.
Mm. Yeah. And we need to talk about South Africa's dominance at the Centurion. I think that they've played 26, 121. They've only lost, I think, against England and Australia, I think, and drawn three. And I think after Pakistan and Karachi, I think their win percentage is 80.77. So going to be a tough challenge for India. But as you said, they can definitely challenge South Africa. But how good have South Africa been since they got, I think, since 1995, I think they played at the Centurion, been
Yeah.
really good at this ground. And your expectations for South Africa in this test match and in the previous test matches they played at here, why have they been so good at the Centurion, first of all? Because I mean, they've only lost twice, I think, and India have lost both the test matches played in 2010 and 2018, recently the 2018 match. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think to be really honest, Centurion, the biggest advantage with South Africa has is that it's always the first match of the series, right? So
Yeah.
which is where, and there has been a lot of time that India, because of the busy schedule, they come up and they don't have the build up or the warm up games in that way. But what has happened in the last 1 2 years in COVID situation, we have seen that there are no warm up matches anyways, right? All teams are
Mm.
actually turning up and they've got used to it. So I think that part
Yeah.
of the game has already been neutralized, because people have already learned, which was not there before, to play on other pitches or new pitches, just fly in and take practice, have simulated practice, have conditions which replicate what the ground will be. So I think that's one factor which has gone away. The second thing is that I think South Africa, I don't know, I think they lost to England recently also, right? They are
Yeah. Yeah.
no
Mm.
more the side, like the historical stats are important, but you should also look at where they stand in the rankings now. The
Yeah.
record you're looking at is the South Africa side, which was number two, number three, number one all the time, and who had
Agree.
a very established batting lineup, who had a very established bowling lineup. The only
Think
problem of
now
South
they
Africa
are
was,
number 5 or number 6, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
South African rankings.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the only problem they used to have before was like who should you, whether they should play a spinner or not a spinner, right? That kind of discussion. But right now, uh, they are actually with De Villiers, Duplessis, Stein, so many people retiring. I think that if there's a session where India gets on top, it will be hard for South Africa to get back, because I don't think they've been in too many pressure situations in that way. I think they had a series against West Indies, which they won in that. So yeah, so right now, if you look at South
I think
Africa,
South
where
Africa are number 6. Yeah, and if they lose this Test series against India, I think they could fall even further. So it hasn't been a good patch of run from South Africa recently, even at home and away. I think their last Test victory, I think it was against Sri Lanka. I think back in last year. I think, yeah, at home. Yeah. So it hasn't been a good run for South Africa, and this is good for India because for their morale and their boost, obviously being number one now, Test ranked team, beating New Zealand at home as well, going confidence to Centurion. So yeah, good times ahead for India. But South Africa have recently also been struggling at home, even though they have a very good record as Centurion. In the other grounds, they haven't been performing well. But this time, do you think who's going to perform well for South Africa? Because as you see here, De Kock, Faf du Plessis, Van der Dusen. So I think they haven't got that much centuries at home recently with South Africa. So who do you think is the batsman to watch out for? I mean, Indian bowlers will, I mean, most likely not face against. I mean, a batsman who they won't face against, who they don't like to face against. Who do you think will be the most impactful player? Like, either going to be a Dean Elgar or Markram or even a Van der Dusen or De Kock? Yeah. What do you think this time that South Africa will go along? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think De Kock anyways is playing only one test, right? So it's not going to be there for the whole series. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the two batsmen like I would be worried about is both the openers, which is Markham and Elgar. A, because they are very experienced players in that way, and then Elgar also know how to take pressure, and they have played India for quite a long time. So with both the experience plus the pedigree, Elgar, even Markham was the under 19 captain. He has captained South Africa in that way, and these people can take responsibility overall. I think Van der Dusen, we have seen him perform well here and there, not very consistent. All depends on the pitches and how they're performing in that way. But I would say just by the pedigree and the experience which they have, and Bavuma is coming after an injury after a long time. So I would think the Elgar and Markham are the two batsmen who India will be very off. Yeah.
And also talk about the India middle order also, about punt especially, and Iyer. I don't know who's going to be number five. Could be Rahane or Iyer, or and number six punt, and maybe they'll go with five bowlers as KL Rahul has hinted that they'll go with five bowlers. So how do you think the middle order of India will face this time around, and and especially without Jadeja as well? How the roles that they will play, especially the middle order compared to the openers? What do you expect from the Indian middle order this time around?
Yeah, so I first of all, I definitely think that the way Indian have been structured right now with under Virat Kohli, they are definitely going to play five bowlers. And if they're playing five bowlers, and that means Shardul Thakur is definitely playing because he's
Yeah,
the only person who can bat among Bumrah, Shami, Ishant, and Siraj, right? So and
yeah,
Umesh Yadav, right? So of the five bowlers, he's the sixth bowler, so he's definitely going to slot it at number seven, I think, given
mm.
what and especially how he batted in Australia, and England also. He got
Maybe
50s in
Ashwin also
both.
can bat at number seven, right?
Yeah, so
Uh,
between
yeah,
no, I would think they will still play Ashwin at eight in these conditions. I think Thakur will come at seven, and I think that is an experiment which they will go forward in that way because yeah, that's how. And then it becomes Pant is definitely batting at six. So your six, seven, eight is kind of sorted out. So the only I think so the only question mark right now is at number five. And then number maybe you can say number nine. So number five, I think they will still go with Rahane just for the experience. And if you look at the last test in South Africa which Rahane played, he played Rahane is very capable of playing this smart 30-40 innings. That's why his average is low, but always a better player of fast bowling than anybody else. So
yeah,
yeah, if you look at what Iyer has scored runs in India. We know he can score runs in India. There's no like
yeah.
nothing telling us new data which is coming in. So let's not go with the form. So that's good news. So India has won the toss, huh? Okay.
Yeah, India has won the toss and chosen to bat first, and they haven't played facing Iyer. So Iyer is not playing in this test match, and once again Rahane has got a place. But they've gone with
Mm.
five bowlers with Ashwin, Thakur, Shami, Bumrah, and Siraj. But Rahane is the I think the big news over here. He's at number five, and they have not placed faith with Iyer. Rohan has joined the line. Your thoughts on this,
Hi, Pawan. Hi,
Rohan?
Bhaskar sir.
Yeah, this is exactly what I predicted without looking at this lineup. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
uh,
agree, Bhaskar sir, because this is the 11 I think they should have already played, and it's pretty much a known 11 only looking at the press conference which KL Rahul had yesterday. They are backing Rahane, and I think that's a way to go because he has a proven record. I think the last test we played in Joburg 2018, his innings was a defining point of the game. So going by past record only, I think they have given him one more game. I hope the sanity continues. I know Iyer and Vihari are in form and looking good to take over, but I think under Dravid they would like to give the senior players one more go before calling it quits.
mm.
No, but
And
the most interesting
yeah,
selection is Marco Jensen is making the debut, right? And they have
yeah,
not
Yeah,
chosen
and no
Oliver
Oliver.
left.
Yeah, no
I
Oliver in
think they
this
went
test.
for a left arm angle.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think that's a good choice. I mean, because Johnson has proved, I think, before also. I mean, he hasn't proved much in test, but in 2020 we've seen his talent, and maybe they have stuck with the. I mean, he could
No,
make it
Pawan.
back. Yeah.
They had a three-match India A South Africa A series where Marco Jansen performed well. So based
Hmm.
on that, with the bat and ball, so I think not much with the ball, I'll say, but morely with the bat at the lower end. I think they went by that. And Olivier, as you know, he's coming back from that Kolpak deal. So I
Yeah.
don't know how much he has got used to the South African conditions, where he
No,
needs to be a bit more.
he's the highest wicket taker in a domestic. He's averaging 10.
Yeah, yeah, that's domestic. I mean, international cricket with the feel of the players, etc. I don't know how well he has integrated yet. So maybe
Yeah.
they wanted someone who is has been a bit of in and out around the South African setup,
No, but
and
I
also the
think
left arm angle, as I said.
but I think also this is also a sign of like what I see is that when teams are slightly weaker or behind, they always go for
Hmm.
a jugular and make a speculative selection, just like Karan Sharma
Yes.
in Adelaide. So this is typical. You can see that when you're playing the number one team, you want to have a surprise factor. You want to
Yeah.
do
Hmm.
something you do not expect it, and therefore you go ahead and you do make sure. So right now, actually, if you look at it, they have got Rabada, who's like a banker, and then
Hmm.
Nigidi is coming back
Ning-
from an injury. Jansen is a debut. Mulder is inexperienced. Their bowling lineup can go wayward, under pressure. This is a
Hmm.
quite
Yeah.
a speculative thing. Obviously, if they take Rabada strikes with 3 wickets, then everything is very different, and everybody can apply pressure. But
And
I would
also to add on, sir, generally these new bowlers have a very good record against India. These surprise factors, they do well.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I would imagine that now, with this lineup which they have gone right now, it's a huge bet. I would have gone with Oliver
Yeah.
any day because he's the
Yeah.
experienced
Yeah.
guy. Proven himself with county cricket is not easy, and then done really well. But I think they just did not want to go with three right-handers. And I think one thing
Hmm.
we should also look at is that they have to do manage his quota system also, right? So
Oh,
they
yeah.
could have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they wanted a left-hander, then they could not drop Nigidi anyways, right, for Oliver,
Hmm.
because I
Yeah.
think Nigidi and Rabada are very similar bowlers. They hit the deck,
Yeah.
whereas Oliver is the one who bowls full, swings the ball in that way.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
it's alternately
Hmm.
they're expecting a lot of bounce in that pitch. But as we have seen in the Ashes also, right, pitching
Yeah.
up is the most important thing in that way. And today also, when England were bowling, luckily they were bowling quite full today. Yeah, but
Hmm.
still, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and
But
also, yeah, Rohan, your thoughts on the fast bowlers as well? Thakur, Shami, Bumrah, Siraj. Who do you think will make the most impact? I mean, Bumrah obviously being the one of the
Yeah.
highest wicket takers this year. They've opted for Siraj, then
Hmm.
Shami. So, how much? I mean, these four bowlers, how well will they do in the Centurion? And do you expect them to? What tactics will they use mostly? I mean, if now they are bowling second, obviously. Seeing the conditions, what do you think all these four fast bowlers will do?
See, if you know, see the first two test matches in Centurion and Joburg, they'll be at the Highfield, that is at a higher altitude. More pace and
Yeah,
carry will be always there. So the
yeah,
ball will go to the slips and the wicket keeper for sure. Lot of caught behinds could be out of the day, I'll say. Especially Bumrah and Shami are proven performers, man. No doubt about those two guys. Siraj
yeah,
will be the X factor because he's the kind of guy who gives that 110% every spell, irrespective it's day start of the day or end of the day. Shardul
yeah,
Thakur, he's in mainly to add the balance for the squad, as we know, because Jadeja isn't there. If Jaddu was there, he would be the all-rounder, and they would have played around with 11. Maybe a Ishan Sharma or a Umesh Yadav could have gotten in. But since they need that little bit of a batting at that 7-8 position, along with Ash and Shardul, they want to cover up that spot. And Shardul is a decent bowler. He also likes to give it his 100%. He'll try and make things happen out of nowhere. So Shardul Thakur has been taken for that role, seam bowling all-rounder kind of. A bit of a replacement for a Hardik, I'll say, because we
yeah,
saw last tour Hardik had a decent impact on that series. So I think Shardul is trying to make up that role. So good
mm,
selection, pretty much obvious 11, I'll say.
yeah. And I think the weather reports aren't also good today. I think first 2 days, I think they're saying there could be thunderstorms and all,
Rain.
but they have somehow done the toss. I hope there'll be a result in this match because weather reports don't look good. But
Hmm.
Rohan, do you think this could be a drawn test, or do you see a result happening somehow in this test match at Century? Because the first 2 days don't seem to be good. The weather, I hope there will be a first session going on. But yeah, your thoughts whether result could happen if weather gets
See,
interrupted?
if the pitch is pretty fast paced, there will be a result irrespective. I mean, it could be those 200, 250 kind of par score kind of pitch. So things will
Yeah,
happen fast, I feel. So
yeah,
irrespective of this, and thunderstorms at the high veld, they last for a very small duration, though with a lot of
Yeah.
impact. And they're good
Yeah.
training grounds. So as soon as the rain stops, they can start over. So loss of play as much may not impact the entire test match unless it's a serious thunderstorm, though. So all these little
yeah,
bits here and there, I don't think will cause major impact for the result. Knowing South African pitches, especially Centurion, results are pretty much guaranteed there. And just to add on, that is like a fortress for South Africa, just as Gaba was for Australia.
Mm.
So we know what happened there. Hope
Yeah.
encore happens for India this
Yeah.
time at the fortress of South Africa.
Yeah, but usually I think it's a high scoring pitch, right? In Centurion, usually it goes, I mean, 500, 600 is being scored
No, 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 no. I
usually
doubt, man.
in Centurion.
I doubt if it's a 500 pitch. I'll be very doubt, especially in this day and age with the WTC points at stake. People will like to have a result. So
Mm.
250, 300 could be a par score, I'll say always. And with that much score, I think that Indian bowling attack has the capability to pick 20 wickets. So they'll be looking at those par plus score. Anything less can be a bit of a burden on the bowling attack also. And we all know generally India start a bit iffy always. Hope first innings, first test syndrome doesn't hit.
First test, yeah. Bhaskar, it's your thoughts also on head. I mean, the whether there could be a result, or and your thoughts on the score that could. I mean, usually I think in the century it's around 400, 500 they're saying, but I don't know this time because of the WTC how they've arranged the pitch. But your thoughts on how now India batting first. What score would they have to be targeting on? Whether it's a 300 or 400?
no, I think
Yeah.
250 is the score which India should be targeting. I have not seen the pitch, I have not seen the coverage at all. But the
Yeah.
way South Africa pitches are and the first match of the series, you just don't want to lose the test match in that way. So I think if India gets 250 in the first innings, 270, 270 is a very good score in this pitch. The kind of bowling India, like I don't know if India gets more definitely, but I think India will be happy with 270 with the bowling lineup with Siraj
Mm.
right
Mm.
now. There, the
True.
bowling lineup is quite balanced. You have got both two hit the deck bowlers in Bumrah and Shami, one swinging bowler, Shardul Thakur, who is the kind of a batsman in that way. And I think my prediction is that Ashwin will do really well in this series, and that is because he won. Obviously, he has understood his game and he started performing overseas. Australia, he did well. England, he did not play obviously, but also with inexperienced batsmen, he's like really good. And let's count number of left-handers in the lineup. I think obviously Quinton de
They
Kock
have
and
South
Elgar
Africa,
are
right?
the thing.
Elgar.
Yeah, yeah.
Dean and Dean Elgar.
Is Peterson the
I
right-handed
think
batsman?
Peterson or
Keegan Peterson, right-hander.
Okay, and one is the
yeah, I think
right-hander,
he's right-hander.
Boguma. What about Mulder?
Mulder is a
Mulder is
left-hander.
left-handed.
Mulder is a
No, no,
left-hander.
he's a
Yeah.
right-hander, man. Jansen's a
Oh,
right-hander. Maharaj's a right-hander. Everyone, Rabada left-hander.
hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So four, I think round 3 or 4, right? Yeah.
But their main two batsmen, that is, as you said, Decock and Elgar are left-handers, so Ashwin will be a threat to them.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but I think
Also, yeah.
like we know that like the Ashwin was very good against Labuschagne and Smith also, right?
Yeah,
So he has
Hmm.
kind of changed his game. So I would think both his batting and bowling will become important. And before you came, Ron, I was just saying that this series, as we are seeing in a lot of series, that lower middle order, middle is very important
yes,
in terms of how they perform. And if Ashwin and then Shardul Thakur can contribute a few runs, I think that is
Yeah.
yeah.
how it will compare against him.
I think that's where we may miss someone like a Jadeja, I feel.
Yeah, I think Jadeja is
So
kind
also,
of what I think because if Jadeja would have been there, maybe Ashwin had not played, and then as we talked
Definitely.
uh,
definitely would
yeah,
have not played.
yeah, so it kind of balances it out. I think
Yes.
what we are missing with Jadeja is a couple of things. One is that he's a left-hander, right? So he can have
Yeah.
variety in the batting line. Plus, he has been in exceptional form. Actually, he's a better batsman than Pant right now, and maybe Rahane. Actually, his batting average is better than everybody in the middle order right now. So
Hmm.
Yes,
kind.
True,
It's not
true,
like
true.
we're losing all rounder. We're losing the best middle order batsman we had.
yes, yes,
Obviously,
agree.
even batting at six is a slightly different thing. But I think his fielding also is very important. And I think
Yeah,
as
true.
we saw versus England, you can get your bowling and batting correct, but if your fielding is not there, and then that is what I'm not very confident right now. But
Hmm.
is that
One more thing
how?
he can be missed where, sir, is the over rate. As we know, points can be docked for over rates. Jadeja in the 11, you can always be assured the overs will be quicker and the fast
True.
bowlers will get their time to bowl their overs more easily. Here, Ash and etc. may take their normal time to bowl the overs. So that Jadeja special of quick overs may be lost.
Yeah, but I think with Thakur there, Thakur is also does not have a very big lineup, run up, and Siraj also is okay. So I think with over it, obviously depends on what the position is. The worse you, it always happens that the team which is losing also is doing worse on over
Yeah.
it. They need to change more changes. They're overthinking the game in that way and getting on, like we saw with England overall.
Yes.
Yeah.
True,
So let's
true.
see.
Yeah. Also, do you think that Pan should have not been in this team? Maybe Vihari could have come in this team because many are pointing out of Rahane being picked ahead of Vihari because Vihari has had good overseas. He's usually good in overseas tests. Do you doubt that whether could have, I mean, KL Rahul could have kept wickets and Vihari
No,
could have
no.
come into the side
No, no.
somehow?
See, one day or T20 cricket, having a backup keeper is okay of an option. Test cricket, you need specialist keeper. If you want to talk about Pant, I would say maybe a Saha. Or else Pant should play straight away as per the team management's ideology that they are following. Pant will be the first choice. Only if he's rested or injured, only Saha comes in. If VRE has to come, it will be in place of an bowler. If the six batsman template is followed, only then a
Yeah,
VRE or Iyer can come in, unless
yeah.
any other injuries, etc. Or else starting 11, this will be the 11 as per seniority and whatever ideology this Team India follows now. This is the preferred 11.
Mm, mm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
definitely. I don't think Rahul can keep in a test match, right?
No, no,
In
no.
that, and then also you need a left-hander, right? Your Indian batting lineup is all
Yeah,
right-handers. You
Yeah,
need
it's
left.
all
yeah.
right-handers, and they only have Pant as a left-hander. Yeah, I mean only one left-hander in the top six. Yeah, so
I'll be interested how they play Maharaj because left arm spinners generally have had a decent record recently
mm,
against India.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah, but that is
excited for
not like on like Leach having a record, right? That is like on those pitches
Chennai.
and Ahmedabad and Chennai, right? That's like everybody. Leach always has a very good record. He's like Akshar Patel. Like, he only plays in pitches
Yeah, yeah.
where it's very helpful to them. The moment he plays in non-helpful pitches like in Brisbane, then you know what happens. So
finally before moving on to the matches, the third test. What are your predictions ahead of this three-match test series? Bhaskar
3-0.
Surface
Sorry,
3-0 India,
India series. Huh? I'll say 2-1.
2-1 to India.
Yeah.
I
Bhaskar
will
sir
go.
safe, or
I will go 3-0 to India.
I think I'll go
We
also with
hope so, sir.
2-1. I
No,
think 2-1 for me.
I'm predicting it because of obviously I can change my prediction after the first thing, but I think the way test matches are going right now, and the
Hmm.
short turnaround time as you have seen, it's very hard
Yeah.
for teams to get back uh, once they are behind a much stronger team. So obviously India did it in Australia, which was kind of exceptional, but those pitches allowed there. But I think here, just looking at the depth of bowling lineup and what we call how pace bowling has evolved, just by the strength of bowling strength, I'm just backing India to do well. And I think
I,
once they do well in the series, then they will just keep going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're missing, going to be miss Noike a lot, especially South Africa. It
yeah.
doesn't seem much promising without Noike and Rabada being together. So, yeah, I think Rabada is definitely going to miss a key partner over there in the bowling lineup because Ningidi coming after injury. The Marco Jansen could be the surprise package. We don't know how he'll do against the Indian batsman, but it is. I think he has played test match before. I think for South Africa, but
No,
I
No, no,
think
no. No, no,
I
no.
don't think he's on debut. Yeah.
he's on
He had
debut.
an impressive A team
I
this
know
one.
he's on debut. Yeah,
Yeah. He
he's
was
on
with
debut.
Mumbai Indians, if you remember, last season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, left arm.
Yeah, he has not played. In fact, he has not played any international cricket.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
he's
surprise. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
India look
last
very
tour he was
promising
bowling in the nets to Virat Kohli. And this tour is
yeah.
bowling to him in a test match.
anyway. Yeah, so yeah, let's see. And I hope India wins the Test series because they haven't won since 1991, so a long time. So hope this time South Africa do get thrashed, and that would be good for Sri Lanka also in the rankings. Also, they could go above them. So I hope India
Hey.
do.
See, generally, Pawan,
Top.
I am always skeptical with that first test match, first hour, all that syndrome, which historically has been a bane for Indian cricket. If they survive that first innings bad syndrome, then they always keep rising up. We saw in
Mm,
Adelaide, we saw in other parts of the world also. So that first test,
true.
first innings, if they can somehow manage it off, then they'll be unstoppable.
Mm, true. So let's move on to the Ashes. We spoke a lot on the India versus South Africa. Let's go to this because again England, again they get bowled out for 185. Good toss for Australia to win and bowl first. If England bowl first, Australia will somehow get around 300 or 400. If England
They'll
went
get
first,
500 tomorrow. See.
No, I
under
honestly think
200 now.
the way the pitch were looking when they were batting, even when England were batting in the second half,
Yeah,
it looks like Australia is going to bat definitely full day tomorrow, maybe
Mm,
till tea the on day three,
third
and
day.
then yeah, it's like
yeah.
this is going
You
to
can
be
expect all Labush and Smith, etc., to score big, man.
even Green will score this time.
Green, everyone.
Yeah,
Making
because
four changes, by the way, Crawley, Bairstow, Wood, and Robinson back. Still, they somehow struggle. I don't know.
No,
It's
no,
only Root.
Robinson was there. Leach came in.
Leach came in. Sorry,
Vokes,
Leach
Vokes,
and
Vokes, Vokes.
Wood. Yeah,
Wokes
yeah,
was dropped.
yeah. Vokes was dropped, but and Joe Burns. I think I was surprised that he was dropped. I would have given
Rory
him
Burns.
another chance, especially Rory Burns, especially with how Crawley has been performing after that, getting that double century against Pakistan at in England. So, yeah, your thoughts. I mean, once again, it's only Joe Root who's contributing in the runs,
No,
and
I think yeah. So
Beresford, yeah,
I think
yeah,
their selection, obviously, what England is doing, that they are doubling down on mistakes, right? So the thing is that when they came to Australia, they should have Hamid actually were not the right batsman to, because he played with
Mm.
low hand, and the problem they are having is that both the batsmen Hamid and Rory Burns bat a very slow strike rate. So they wanted to get an
Yes.
aggressive batsman, which is
yeah,
which is Crawley. But they should have actually replaced Hamid in my view rather than Burns, because
true,
Burns
true.
he's a left-hander. Obviously, Stark got him with the first ball, but he last innings of the second test he was looked in good form. He was coming back. Whereas Hamid, what we have seen is that he looks set and then he plays very lazy shots, right? Like he's like a Lakshman or a
Mm.
Martin or a David Gower, where flicking to
Mm.
mid on and then stuff like that. So that's one thing which they made a mistake. I think again what they have done is that while playing Butler, who is definitely not a test class number seven, right? Like today's shot you saw, right?
Mm,
Mm.
What a bad shot he played with the little line when he was there after coming up with such a good inning. They should actually have played still continue with Pope. Even though Pope were not doing well, maybe get Besto as a wicket keeper. That would have actually at least given them some continuity overall. I think
mm,
England. The problem is England is their batting is not very good, and because
mm,
of the batting, they keep changing the bowling, which does not make sense to me.
true.
Because if you look at
Yeah.
it, in my view, England actually, and we talked about this Pawan last time when we were talking about
Yeah,
the
we spoke. Yeah, with that. Right.
actually, yeah, that England bowling were very good actually in my view in the second Test match. They're like
Mm, true.
till they were had
Agree.
300 for 8 or 7, and then before Nesser and
Agree.
Stark kind of hit them out totally in the match. Uh, they should have
Mm.
not changed their formula in that way. I think what they and playing Leach is also in my view a big mistake. So they should have actually gone with the same bowling lineup in my view. Obviously, Wood should come in. I would have dropped actually Robinson or Vokes in that way. So, but I would have
Agree.
definitely played broad. And in batting lineup, I would have not made so many changes. I think what England is doing is that, like they say, that they're chasing the game, putting a fielder when the gap is the ball is gone by. So they're trying to reinvent. They are one match behind. So they should have not played a
Mm.
spinner in Brisbane, but
Yes.
they compensated.
True.
They played a spinner in. They played all five pacers in Adelaide, and
Really.
now
Yeah.
after the batting lineup is gone here and there, I think they eventually after this series, my expectation is Butler is going to retire from Test cricket, and then yeah, because to me like he
Agree.
is. Uh, like
Yeah,
he has so much value in
I
white
agree.
ball cricket. Why should he waste himself in that way? And I think then they could get Ben Foakes in, who actually has a
Yes.
much better average, much better keeper.
Better
And
keeper, sir. More
Yeah, better.
importantly.
Yeah,
no, he's
definitely.
better batsman also, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
there's no.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
And to me, this series in England, what they say is that they are losing it obviously for various reasons, but one of the major reasons is they're catching, and the catching
Yes.
is so bad because of their batting, because
Hmm.
they keep changing their batting lineup. So therefore, that keep changing in fact has an impact
Slip
on their
corner.
slips, and then they don't know that. So Rory Burns never fields in slips in county cricket. Like
No,
he's a
Hamid's
gully.
fielding is not good on the field. Hamid also misfields at times. He
Yeah, don't
drops
know about
catches.
the misfield is there, but I think the big catch is like dropping Warner in the first test match where the
Labushan.
guy and dropping
Hussain,
Labuschagne
yeah,
2 or 3 times, right? Like he got 3 or 4 lives, right?
that's
In
what,
in that
yeah.
innings. Yeah, and then bowling obviously Warner for no ball, you know. So all those factors are there. So in my view,
Because
England,
even
right?
Barristo can keep, right? They should have allowed Barristo to keep for one test and just see how he performs instead of. I know
It
Butler.
may come the next couple of tests, Pawan.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, they need bench folks for me. Yeah, because he does well in subcontinental. Also, I was impressed with how
Yes.
bench folks keeps also, and especially in county also. Yeah, I think Butler should mainly focus on 2020 and 50 over. I think more than test a bit, because I think he's struggling a bit, especially that second test. We know that he played a very patient knock, but still I think he seems to be struggling to adapt from 2020 to.
You know what, Pawan? Basic issue with England team or mindset is they score those 20, 30, 40s and think they are safe for the next test. They're
Mm.
playing for the spot, I feel sometimes, some of them.
Yeah,
Rather
true.
than going out and playing your not
And
natural
there are
game
lot
or
of players
whatever.
that play
Yeah.
2020 and they don't have a team like India, whatever, that have so like players who play only tests. That's the thing. What I feel
Hmm.
with England, except for Joe Root, obviously. I feel like most of these players try to play like the 2020 mode at times and just get dismissed playing loose shots.
Hmm.
And that's why I think a player like Ben Foakes could help instead of Butler, and maybe let Butler to focus only on 2020 and 50-50. And but bowlers, I don't complain about the bowlers. Mainly the problem is with their batting, because if they don't score runs, what can the bowlers do? That's the thing. What I'm saying,
See,
just getting this under 200.
main issue with England is they overthink a lot. They, when they came to Australia, they wanted to do a same template what India did last year. Pack the
Yeah.
leg side field, ball straight. Indian bowlers had a bit more extra pace, be it Bumrah or a Siraj, Shami, though he played one test. All had more extra pace than an Anderson or a Broad or a Vokes. Apart from Mark Wood, nobody's 140 plus there. So they should
Mm.
have stuck to their own strength, ball it full, get them nicking outside off anything. That they didn't do.
Yeah.
One. Second, even before the Brisbane test match, the first test of the Ashes, they rested their two main senior bowlers, which is a backward step. Broad and Anderson. They were saying they want to save them up for Adelaide, pink ball, that this. You can't do that, man. You have to hit it at the start itself. Only when
no,
you be that aggressive self, you can come up.
yeah.
Mm.
There was
The
this
basic
joke,
is
right?
the intent.
Yeah, Ron, did you see that joke where they said that England's plan was that to have Broad and Anderson under the lights in a day night match, but they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
batting at that time.
Yeah. So so all this overthinking and forecasting doesn't help. You have to play for the present,
Mm.
which England lacked. They're overthinking, as you see. Even today, force changes. It shows
True.
you're not backing your players also. And when that happens, there is no clarity in thinking. Ultimately, you need to have clarity in your thinking, either you're batting or bowling or fielding, whatever. That shows in your intent. Another thing, in Australia to be successful, you need to have a good opening pair. Beat India,
Yeah.
even though they had Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, all
Mm.
did reasonably well. At least Pujara, they solved that new ball. Here, they're 10 for 3, 20 for 3, pressure on route. That
No, but
exposes your so-called middle order,
They're not
yeah,
and
but
having
you
a
I
won't get the
bowling
score.
like
no, but I think also Australia has
Ken
learned
Strauss.
from the India series that they are very smartly rotating the bowler and not burning them out. Like
Exactly.
even
Same
Richardson.
mistake which they did last time. They
Yeah,
didn't do this time.
yeah. So I think that's a very smart thing, and I think as long as I think what was most disappointing in the second Test match was that Australia was playing with their half the bowling lineup. Only Stark and Lyon were there, two
Yeah,
Yes.
new
true.
bowlers, and
Mm.
still they got. And you could see that that had England just put up like another one good partnership, they could have easily escaped
Hmm.
with a draw. right? Either in the first
Yeah.
inning or in the second inning, they could have easily
Okay.
come up with a draw in this match.
Okay.
But this today's match, I think, obviously there was
Again,
some
Cummins back.
yeah,
Again with
there
Cummins
was
back struggling. Yeah.
some nip in the thing, but if you look at it, the shots which were played, I think obviously Hamid got a very good ball, uh,
Yeah.
but Crawley, it seemed like he came up with a mandate that I am going to play very aggressively, so he was going after every ball. So that was but going to happen anyways. I think Root played a very disappointing shot, and I think Root has got out the third or fourth time. That fourth
50s.
stump. Yeah, no 50s also, but also exactly the
Yeah.
same fashion. So I think Australia, what they need to do is they've got the formula of him, and he kind of pushes in that way.
Yes.
So I think the key thing is that in Australia the ball does not swing that much, so
Mm.
maybe he's actually edging those balls. But again, like Stark, like people talk a lot about Stark, like he does not bowl well, he wastes the new ball and ball, but he
Yeah.
always comes and take impact wickets, right? Today also I
Yes.
think he took
True.
Root and he took one more wicket,
Root.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. He got Root
Uh,
and Barrister out. Yeah.
Based
Back
on,
to
yeah.
the game. Yeah.
And both were very good ball. Both were the best two batsmen, right? 50 and
Right.
I think Bushtu was
Yeah.
the second highest scorer in
36.
that
Yeah.
way.
Third.
Yeah.
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 And then, but I was most disappointed today with Butler because Butler shot to little nine. There nothing
I
was
mean, that was, I
required.
think, the last over of before tea or something.
Yeah, before tea there was
Yeah, yeah, before tea, yeah. It was 128 for 60. I remember the shot, yeah, of Butler. Yeah,
Yeah.
very disappointing
yeah,
shot. Yeah.
it was a no-brainer shot. Like there was no hurry to play that shot. There anyway, Nathan Line, if they wanted to attack, they can attack after this thing. But I think, and that shows me that the test match temperament is not there. So to me, actually, we can talk about Butler, whatever. Like I don't think he had a test match temperament. He was forced into test cricket.
Hmm.
Ed
I agree.
Smith called him, and then he basically dropped Besto, dropped Folks, everything. And now they're paying a big price of that one because Butler is going to play 1 in 10 innings, right? And in Test cricket is
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
good enough. You look at Labuschagn's for first inning scores, right? Like every match he scores, right? You can't
Yes.
have players who are half committed in that way, and then it's a totally waste of English this thing. And I'm not even getting to the bowling lineup and spinner. Yeah,
Yeah, no point on because England are always struggling, and especially giving a debut to Scott Boland also seems like they can make whatever debuts they want, and somehow the strike bowlers will somehow do well because they're keeping on with Stark and Lyon, and they keep on struggling with both of them. Even Pat Cummins coming back, yeah. So
Mm.
Rohan, that they dropped Ty Richardson, he got a 5 wicket haul. Now bringing in Scott
Yeah.
Boland now to see how he does. So I think Australia are trying to experiment with their bowling right now. So your thoughts also, yeah, on what Australia are trying
I,
to
I,
do.
I wouldn't call it experiment. I think, as Bhaskar used that word, rotate. They're trying to keep everyone fresh. Unfortunately or fortunately, Cummins also happened to miss that Adelaide test, or else he would have to play all the five tests. So
Yeah.
he also got a 10-day
But
break, you can
Hazelwood,
say. Bowler,
I think
sorry?
Hazelwood still has the injury, no? I think that's why he didn't play this test
Yeah,
match
I
also. But
think
I think he was fit to
the
play
reports
this
were
test
that
match.
he's bowling in the nets today. So I think he may be fit for Sydney.
Okay.
So I think everyone's gonna get rotated. Stark may get rested in the coming couple of games. If the result comes in Australia favor, series pretty much sealed, I think they will rotate more. So Australia has every bases covered for this England team. I'll say 100%. They are all over them. So as you know, in
Hmm.
Australia, once you start sliding down, it goes bad, worse, everything. The media starts getting into it. Outside people, all the noise comes in. So England, I think, mentally
This
are
would
pretty much on the way
definitely,
home.
yeah.
this
Today,
would
like bowling
definitely
in
be
the
Jones'
third
last.
decision, third, third
Yeah.
session also did look very flat. Like
Yes.
Anderson was managed to get a wicket of this thing, but
Yeah,
it seemed
Warner.
like
Yeah, Anderson.
Hmm.
yeah, not very good. But
I
I
think even
think
Harris will come into form now.
Yeah.
this is
That's
his
the
home
thing.
ground. So yeah, but I think wow, today's Green's bowling was quite good. Right, he got a very key wicket today also.
He was bowling
Hmm.
So
140 plus almost.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he was. Yeah, he got Stokes out. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
but that
Green
was
is very
Stokes.
good in this test
I
series.
think Stokes got out because of the pressure because he was trying to invent a
Yes.
shot, trying to play uppercut,
He went too
which
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to me that is I think England's the problem is that they have got too many batsmen, except for Root, who are like just staying there. And if you look at batting at like 30 to like 20 strike rate, Malan, Ben Stokes around 40, right? So which is kind of decent in that way, but it's too slow. And only Root is the one who batted 60, 70. So
Yes.
they're always going to be under pressure. So the only way out for England is. their bowlers bowl at a like a 2.1 kind of run rate. But today after they came back, Warner decided that, boss, I'm going to just go out, and then I think they were batting at around 4 runs on over, right?
Yeah,
3.8
Yeah.
runs.
3.8. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But sir,
that
just looking ahead, I don't see anyone even in the county game who is at least positive in their defense,
Yes.
let alone aggressive shots. I don't see anyone with a good technique to survive the new ball at the top order in England.
No. So right now, actually, surviving a new ball in world cricket itself is very difficult right now because all the
Ah,
bowlers have
true.
become fitter and stuff like that. But what I think is that actually Burns and Hamid, are in my view still like they played decent against India. So it's not that bad. I just think that they did not take the when they had their advantage. Right? So twice England got into a good position in both the test matches,
Yeah,
like when Malan and his
Malan and
partnership.
Root.
This is where they did not do. So you can talk about so much about like the top order not performing. I think uh, what is happening with Burns and this guy Hamid was that they are losing concentration, and that may be because of pressure, because of express fast bowling, bounce, regardless. I don't think they have got the wrong personnel in that way. Middle order, obviously, it's a big question mark. Malan obviously is being flown in from nowhere to kind of help them because he can play well in, but he's a South African in that way. But to be really honest, if England had taken the catches and everything else, this could have been a different series. I think like you said, that is when Australia get it, the gaps become very big, and it's very hard to get back. Because if you look at in the first Test match also, it was Travis Head, and Travis Head also they did not
Yeah.
bowl round stumps to him and they
Mm.
gave him free on the wide out off stump and on his legs to
Drives.
score 150. Obviously, he played very well, but if you look at the next two matches innings, he's not been able to play that well because Travis Head is not such a great player. They have basically three good players: Labuschagne, Smith, and Warner, and
Warner.
and
Warner.
if you look at it, both the test matches, only these three players have actually scored majority of the runs. Obviously, Head has scored one great inning, but
Even Carey
Australia,
scored a half century last
yeah,
test.
but that is like when the match is already gone, Carey's coming and scoring, and then
Yeah.
even Green's coming and scoring. All those innings are just
Yeah.
easier test runs. So I would think England, I think they overthought the planning. And this is like this today's match was just like a repeat of whatever matches you watched in 90s and 2000s, right?
Well said.
Where
Yeah.
They haven't
where
settled opening pair since Cook and Strauss. I think, especially Cook. Missing Cook, I think, is. I mean, obviously he's retired. They haven't found a replacement for him. I think a proper left-hander batsman than him. I thought Crawley will be the replacement, but he hasn't performed well. Then they've dropped Ollie Pope, a solid middle order batsman, but he hasn't performed well in Australia. So I don't know. I don't know where England are going to look next after this Test series, especially. So that's the issue, especially in county also. I think not that many players are also performing that well. I mean, in county, I don't know.
They had one more guy who played against India and disappointed. Sibley.
Yeah,
Even
Dom
he didn't
Sibley.
look much of a technique. Yeah.
True. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's the
So,
biggest worry. Yeah, if they had Jennings also once, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know where
Keaton
he's
Jennings
disappeared.
doesn't move his feet, man.
True. Yeah. So they're having many issues right now. This England side, I don't know. I don't know who they're going to get next. I mean, I thought Hamid will be the replacement, but we need to see. Obviously, Australia, when they win the first Test match, they go on and dominate. And I think since 2010-11, England haven't won a series in Australia as well. But at home also, they didn't do well in the last
See,
Ashes, even though it was
20,
2.
Pawan, 2010
Yeah,
or 2011, they had the bowlers for those conditions. Forget this Anderson Broad. They had a Tremblett, they had a Bresnan, they had a quality spinner in Graham Swan,
yeah,
which they are
but
missing now.
yeah, but also I think winning overseas also means that the opposition also should have some fallacies. So that time the
Yeah,
Australian team was in transition, Ponting was
yeah.
going out,
Ponting was about
Static
downhill.
was going to get dropped. If you look at England series in 12, 11, 12, or 12, 13 versus India also, right? Indian batting lineup and bowling
Yeah,
lineup
yeah.
both were in like a lot of confusion over there. Who's going to bat? Whether these guys should retire in that way. So this
But
always
sir,
happens.
my point is, at home, at least you will have some players who can do well because of familiarity with the condition. So, but that England team in 2010 or 11 had no loopholes. As you saw the batting order: Cook, Strauss, Trott, KP, Collingwood, Pryor at 7.
No, Bell,
So
Bell.
they had all the bases covered. The bowling attack was equally good to take 20 wickets, irrespective of what the opposition Australia had. So I'm saying they had not much going bad for them. They had a good warm up routine also. I think 3 4 games
No,
before the first test. That doesn't happen this day and age for sure.
no, but that's true. But I'm just saying that it also is a sign of like
No,
how
agree.
at that point in time they were on the up and Australia were down, and they met at the right time, and they obviously
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
two
True.
matches they won were not normal matches, right? They won all the three matches by
Yeah,
innings, so
Mm.
the
yeah.
gap became very big. And again, Australia at that time had this problem, right? That they had Doherty and Michael Beer, obviously
No
the
good
spinner
spinner.
cannot yeah, so
Mm.
where they had Swan, right? And I think that spinner becomes very important. I think if you look at Indian series win also, Ashwin and
Mm,
Jadeja played a big part in like controlling because in Test match cricket, however good your top bowlers are, they're going to get tired after
yeah.
6 overs. You need somebody to plug it, and the batsmen are just waiting for that thing until it's like a
True.
under 200 score where you can bowl the opposition out of 60 overs, which today
Mm,
Australia did. So in that way,
So we'll end things. I think we discussed the Ashes and India versus South Africa. Right now, India 8 for 0 after 4 overs. Hope they survive the hour and somehow manage to get a 250, 270. So thank you so much, Bhaskar sir and Rohan, for coming once again on the sports breakdown.
thank
We'll
you.
try to cover the post match of the South Africa versus India. Try to do a review for each day if we can, but most likely we'll be doing a post match analysis of the first test. Yeah, so we'll end things. Thank you so much, guys. Please do subscribe to Sports Breakdown and click the notification bell on. And see you in the next video, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
bye bye.